Hey, Jay, how's it going?
Jeff, what is going on? How you doing?
Hey, another 60 cents on the dollar.
Right on. Right on. Today, that's pretty good.
Yep. How was your week?
My week has been spent trying to kick one of the nastiest colds I have had in recent memory. I still sound a little froggy, but a little better. But this one has been a doozy, man. Not good.
You sound fine. You sure it was
Yeah.
cold and not something else? COVID or something?
Well, if it was something else, I never went and got it checked out. But yeah, I've sneezed a ton, I've coughed a ton, and been congested most of the week, and yeah, not good.
All right, well, man, take care of yourself. You're having a nice little
Yeah.
stretcher of health things here.
I know, I know. I mean, I've been trying to go to bed early and getting a lot of sleep and all that stuff. So hopefully that helps. But I do feel better. I'm probably about 95%, so that's good.
I was say you sound like normal Jay to me.
Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Although of course, so I did have a little bump in the road this week. So it snowed here pretty hard on, what day was it? I think it was Wednesday when this happened. No, I'm sorry. It was Wednesday when this happened. So I'm coming out of Menards. I just bought some more salt for my driveway. And I kid you not, I step off the curb, and I probably looked like a cartoon when I did it. Foot comes out from under me. I just land on the concrete right on my left side of my lower back and my left arm. And it was one of those where when you fall, like an entire jolt just hit my entire body. And it took me a second, and I'm like, oh my God, am I okay? Is something broken? What's going on? And I was fine. I was a little sore the next day, but holy crap. My head missed the curb probably by about 4 inches. Had I hit the curb, God only knows what would have happened.
I know, right?
Bad news. So
It's a game of inches.
It really is. And it was that hurt like hell, man. I got to tell you.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you laying on your side. Everything okay? Bruise maybe? A little sore?
Yeah. A little bruised lower back and maybe a little bit of a bruised ego. But,
Yeah. That's the worst, man. Like doing that, especially like in public or whatever.
Yeah. And I don't know if anybody saw it. And if they did, whatever. Nobody acknowledged it or anything. But my problem was, so I looked down and there's no salt down anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm at Menards. I'm at the hardware store. I'm where I just bought salt. So it's not like they don't have it. And I'm thinking, how can you not have salt put down on your sidewalk anywhere?
Mm-hmm.
So I went inside. I'll admit I was not colorful, but I did kind of let the manager have it.
Mm-hmm.
And, and normally I don't do that kind of thing, but I was pissed off. I was just like, you got to be kidding. So I did that, got in my car, got home, went to bed that night, took some Advil or whatever the hell, ibuprofen, got up the next morning, was a little sore. And as the days went on, it's kind of faded away. So all is good, but it was just, I don't know if you've ever like slipped and fell just out of nowhere. That is nasty. Woof.
Yeah. I got a story.
Not good.
That's very similar. It comes to mind because you mentioned, missing the curb by inches.
Yeah.
So I was coming home from a trip. I think it was in New York City, and I had just come home, and I took an early morning flight. And I think I got home probably around 8 or so. This is when I lived in Chicago. This was like 2 years ago, like 3 years ago, maybe something like that. And it was cold, it was snowy, it was freezing, blah, blah, blah. And I remember the Uber dropped me off in front of the house, and it was super slippery outside. Oh, okay, and I have like a backpack with just all my shit in it. So I usually just try to do one bag if I can.
Yeah.
This thing probably like 30 or 40 pounds, just hanging off my back. And I remember walking up the driveway, and it was like a slippery mess, right? This is probably like February in Chicago area. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? From a weather standpoint.
Yeah. Living it right now.
Oh, yeah. And I usually will go in the garage. And so I just, walk up to the garage, hit the door code, and then, go in. But I happened to see my dogs, in the window and kind of doing the, on the glass, like, Dad's home, like that kind of thing. So, I'll go in the front door. So I take a corner and go up the steps, and this is the house I had like 3 steps to go up into the house. It's kind of like one of those kind of short little stair things, and it was all cement. And the next thing I know, I am, like you said, like a cartoon, face first into the sidewalk, and I missed my first step of the curb by like inches as well. That would have been like my face or my forehead or whatever. It'd been like game over. But I went face first into the sidewalk. Ooh. I split my nose open. There's blood everywhere.
Oh,
and I'm kind of stunned a little bit. The one was like, what the hell? Just, I had like literally, there was no time to react. Feet went out below me. I went to put my hands down to break my fall. It was sheer ice on my entire sidewalk. Was not salted or anything. And my hands went boop and split out right away, and boom, just right face first into that.
Oh.
And so I'm laying there, and this is like, I don't know, 8:30 in the morning or whatever. I just gotten home from New York City. Technically, I wasn't in the house yet, so I guess I don't know if you can call me home yet. And the dogs are still, kind of freaking out in the window, like, what's Dad doing outside? Why is he out there? And so I'm laying there. I kind of like sit up on my knees and kind of like collecting myself. And then I think at that point, my wife opened the door and she looked out and she just saw me, like, face just covered in blood, looked like a murder victim. And she's like, starts to scream, like, what? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Just like, can you get me a towel, basically?
Yeah.
Because I had no traction. I couldn't even get up. Like, it was just sliding all over the place. So I get into the house and, finally kind of like collect myself a little bit. Yeah, because it stunned me. I mean, you hit your face on the concrete, and that's...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're like, oh, my God, did I just, like, permanently scar myself?
Yeah, like, what just happened? So I have, a permanent scar probably on the bridge of my nose with my other collection of bridge of nose scars, because it's not my first time. Probably won't be my last. But I remember walking in, and it was like, are you fine? I'm like, yeah, and I felt fine. It was just, fucked up with my face and bloody and stuff like that. And, and my wife says, all right, well, let's go to the hospital just to make sure everything's okay. It's like, yeah, it's fine. It was just kind of like whatever,
Sure.
And yeah, I got multiple stitches in the face and looked like a real freak for, a few weeks.
Yeah, it's like,
but that sucks, man. I totally get it. And and like you said, it could have been far, far worse, right? If it had been like
a ton worse.
6 inches the other way.
I felt like I got beat up. For a little bit, and you're just like, holy crap. I've only done that 2 other times. One was on my own sidewalk because I forgot to salt it or whatever, and I just kind of fell on my rear and whatever. But one time I was at a customer for work, and I was walking in to their back door, and it was their back sidewalk where the garbage was and all that kind of stuff. So I just went directly in the kitchen. I had my laptop computer open because I'm ready to go. I'm ready to take an order, all that stuff. Sure enough, again, foot comes out from under me. I go down. I don't know how. Save the laptop. Open everything.
You're company man. Company first.
Yes, I felt like everything else hit the ground, including my head, everything. But I'll be damned if the computer was saved. It saved. Perfect. Nothing happened. I walked in. No issue, no problem. Luckily, I was not bleeding. I was a little woozy for a little bit, but not terrible. But the computer was safe, so that's really all that mattered. So, yeah, falling sucks.
Yeah. I don't know. Just getting old sucks in general.
Yeah, pretty much, man. It does. I many times the last couple of weeks with baseball practice with the kids, I go to bend over to grab a baseball. I'm like, Jesus, I can't do the things I used to be able to do. Like when we were playing softball with Chili's or whatever, or when I was playing baseball as a kid, I'm like, I can't do this shit anymore. At least not as smoothly. I'm like, okay, yeah, I want kids to go through these drills. Oh yeah, I'll just demonstrate it. Yeah, whatever, dude. These kids probably look at me like, hey, old man, why don't you let us just do it?
Why are you doing it in slow motion?
Tell us what you want done. Yeah, exactly. Tell us what you want done and let us do it. So it's kind of a tough reality to accept the fact that can't do what you used to be able to do, and that kind of sucks.
Age is a bitch. Time is undefeated against every single thing.
Good point. Very, very true. It's so funny when last week, speaking of face plants and injuries, last week when or when we had Justin and Matt on, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now. Justin brought up the Steve Miller concert, and I'll always associate the basketball accident that happened right before that concert and our buddy Jeff's emergency dentist visit to make sure he could make it to the concert. So yeah, that was pretty bad as well, as I recall.
Yeah. Face first into a metal pole, got posterized on a dunk. So shout out to Mike for bringing down the house, and shout out to Jeff's face and tooth for still, getting their shit together and coming to the concert later that night. That's pretty tough.
Yeah, I think his mom called the dentist on like a Saturday or a Sunday like that, and somehow he got it done, and we were still able to go to the show. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, that was a good show for a bunch of other reasons too. But yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it was a good time. Good time for many a reason, as we talked about earlier. So speaking of which, speaking of Matt and Jeff, Matt got married yesterday.
Congratulations, Matt.
Yes. So shout out to Matt, his new wife, Emma. Justin was at the wedding. I have yet to see any pictures. I did see an Instagram video of Matt and Emma's first dance. Emma looked like she could dance pretty well. Matt does not strike me as a dancer at all. Mm-hmm. So pretty interesting, but good for him. He got out there, did his thing, and looked like they had a great time. So good for those guys. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's good times. Congrats, Matt.
So,
well, speaking of dancing,
I was going to say, do you remember a lot of your wedding?
Yeah, I do. I remember quite a bit of it. We got married out in San Francisco area, up in the winery area, kind of Santa Rosa. So kind of picturesque, out in wine country, and kind of small gathering of people out there. And yeah, it was good.
Nice.
Yeah. I remember being very tired by the time dinner time came around. It was such a long day, and I didn't, really kind of sleep the night before, but yeah, it was fun. It was, it was a good time. We had, like I said, just a kind of a small group of people out there, and my wife had a wardrobe malfunction right before she was supposed to come out.
Oh boy!
And my brother saved the day with a safety pin. So
nice.
Maybe someday we'll have him on the show, or maybe her on the show at some point. Tell that story. But
yeah, for sure.
Anytime you see a safety pin, we always go back to that moment of that saved the day.
Nice. And how many years now? I'm sorry.
It's gonna be 20 this October.
Big 20. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Time flies, man.
Yeah, time flies, but it's been good. No complaints. It's been a good experience. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, marriage has its ups and downs, as we both know, I'm sure. But yeah, you work at it and you just kind of roll on,
Yeah. Here's my advice to newlyweds, Matt and Emma, if you're listening. Be like Frozen and just let it go. You do not have to fight every battle. Just things are going to happen. You're going to get pissed off, angry, upset, disturbed, whatever adjective you want to use. Just figure out a way to let it go.
Yeah, that's great advice. Pick your battles. Yeah, not everything is as big as it sounds. Let it go is a great one. It's a great one. I will be 25 years in August. And it seems to have gone by like that. And it's pretty wild, the life that we've had. So yeah, the ups, downs, everything. So, but overall, pretty good. Not bad.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. That's what it's supposed to be, right? I mean,
that's right. That's right.
It's maybe it's a sad truth. I don't know, but it seems like that's getting rarer and rarer. But I don't know. I don't know if there's actual statistics to back that up. But there's a lot of stories out there, and a lot of both yin and yang to that.
I don't think marriage is as sacred as it used to be. Let's put it that way. I have a lot of couple friends that we've developed living in this neighborhood over the years, and more than half of them are now divorced. And it's kind of sad because, we all kind of moved here at the same time. We all had little kids at the same time. Our kids grew up together. And then as time went on, couples would split up, get divorced. Unfortunately, there was some infidelity in some cases or what have you. And it's sad to watch families break apart. And some were able to work at it, some were not. And it's, you hear more and more stories of divorce and split ups and like now than I know I did when I was a kid. Maybe I was oblivious to it back then, but it's everywhere. So,
So it sparked my curiosity. So I looked this up, and the divorce rate peaked in, let's see, what year was this? 1980, 22.6% divorce rate, and has gone down since then. So
what is it now?
14.6 as of a couple years ago.
No kidding. I would have thought it was higher, to be honest.
And that's what I thought too. I was like, well, this is my own experience, right? It feels like, half the people I know have some sort of divorce in their experience.
Yeah.
But I guess in this case, this is why you get out of your bubble and look it up.
Yeah. Wow. I would not have
so
thought
it's getting
it was
better.
that low.
That's good. That's good news, Jay.
Although, well, yeah, but I also think it seems that less and less people are actually getting married.
That could also be contributing to it. So this
because
is from Bowling Green University. Bowling Green State University statistics.
A lot of kids have parents that aren't married.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And that's okay. I mean, don't jump into something that's supposed to be a lifelong commitment and not be ready for it. That's for sure.
Yeah. If it's
same thing for having a kid. Don't do that either.
No. No, you are pot committed on that one.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, you should be. There's a lot of people who don't, but that's probably a different discussion.
Yeah. We've touched on that kind of stuff. So
yeah, man, we're kind of starting to show off on a little bit of a downer, man. Face plants into the ice, divorce, everything sucks.
Okay, so here, all right, so face plants into the ice. Let's see here. I'll kind of move it along in that kind of sense. So, all right, so this is like All-Star weekend for both the NBA and the NHL. Mm-hmm. You have very different situations going on right now. I don't know if you've ever watched an NBA All-Star game. Probably
it's been
the
years.
Worst. Okay, and for good reason, because it is the worst basketball ever. There is no defense. They all want to be the Harlem Globetrotters. No matter what the NBA has tried to make it competitive, it just doesn't work. It is horrible, horrible basketball.
Yeah, it's
terrible.
There's no reason to watch it.
No, there really
it's not
isn't.
even like a skills exposition, exhibition, or I mean, it ends up being mostly a dunk contest, long range 3-pointers, and there's no skin in the game for anybody. Like they're not playing for anything.
Yeah,
of value.
Who can do the fanciest alley-oop? I mean, they still do. Was it All-Star Saturday night where they have the dunk contest? They have the 3-point contest. I think there's a skills challenge. Actually, last night the winner actually dunked over a car.
Yeah, I saw that, Mac McClung. But
he is now 3-time defending champion, and I will admit that dunk was pretty awesome.
It was. I mean, look, it's super athletic, and he got 350s last night, I think, and perfect dunks,
whatever,
something like that. Yeah. So I just saw the highlights, but I'll be honest, I'm not impressed with the dunk contest anymore. I feel like the creativity is no longer there, and I remember having dunk contests in our backyard.
Oh yeah,
on a shorter rim, and all that kind of stuff. But the dunking over the car thing is not new. Blake Griffin did that. Now, did McClung execute it better? Was it more impressive for him to jump completely over it and, pick up the ball off the guy, through the sunroof? Sure. But I want to see creativity. I want to see like feats of skill. And obviously there's skill to dunk a basketball. But what I'm not seeing is, the showmanship of it. When Dwight Howard came out with the Superman, thing on it.
Yes.
The first time that Blake Griffin did the jump over the car, I was like, okay, that's new. Haven't seen that before. There was a dunk last night. I think it was McClung. Maybe it was his last one where he did 2 balls. And it was the weakest
McClung as well. Yes.
And it was a weak 2-ball one because it was, he caught one and the other one was basically right on the rim anyway. So like, okay, yeah, sure, I guess. Give him points for that, but I'm not impressed by the dunks I see today.
Well, it's almost like they're running out of stuff to do.
Yeah, I just don't know where the creativity is. Like, everything's been done. Show me something new.
Dunk from the free throw line. We've seen it.
Yeah.
Kiss the rim. We've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Guy spinning around holding a basketball and you grab it. We've seen it.
Yep.
You name
it. Between the legs, reverse, overhand, underhead, cradle, jumping over people or things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Off the sides of backboards, all kinds of weird stuff. I want to see like fire, something where it's like, with blades, there's blood, could happen, right? Show me something new. I'm not going to take away, like, look, it takes skill to dunk basketball. I get it, right? Not everybody can do it. Yours truly included, right? What I'm talking about is the creativity of the dunk. Like, there's only so much you can do between, like I said, between the legs, around the back, reverse, forward, one hand, left hand. Some of my favorite dunks are really just is the power that goes on it, because a lot of these dunks are weak too. Like, there's no power to the dunk.
Right.
Some of them are barely dunks to begin with. But like, I remember when Vince Carter dunked and it put his entire arm into the rim and hung from his elbow. I was like, okay, like that I like. I thought that was cool. Right. Or obviously Jordan, iconic, from the free throw line, stuff like that. And I feel like these guys are way more athletic than they were back then. So I feel like I should be seeing more stuff. I'm just not.
I would invite you to go back to, it was either 2015 or 2016, and watch the finals between Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon. Probably they were in the finals and they kept tying at 50 in the finals. Probably six as a collective, probably six of the greatest dunks you'll ever see. So give that a shot. I'm not sure if it went back that far, but
2016 it looks like.
Yeah. Aaron Gordon did what I still think is the greatest dunk I've ever seen in that one.
All right, describe it to me.
So he had his mascot on I believe it was like a hoverboard, like just circling around, holding the basketball out like the Statue of Liberty, and he was spinning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he runs, takes it and cradles it like he's rocking a baby, like Jordan used to do, and then takes it all the way around like a windmill and dunks it hard. One of the greatest dunks I've ever seen. Then, same thing, same scenario. He comes up, grabs the basketball, puts it not under one leg, under both legs. Like
I'm watching it right now while you're talking. I just saw the one you're talking about with the the guy. It was a mascot on like the spinning thing.
Yes. This time he jumps, puts the ball under both legs. His entire head looks like it's above the rim. Mm-hmm. Grabs it with his left hand and then jams it over his head. Unbelievable. The athleticism that it takes to jump that high and be able to do all that in midair, probably the greatest thing I've ever seen athletically ever. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I won't belittle any. Like I said, the athleticism is there. The creativity is the part that's missing for me.
To me, those two jams were about as creative as it gets.
That was 9 years ago.
Yeah, but we haven't seen anything since. We haven't seen anything like that since. Mac McClung, he's a 3-time defending champ and all that. The guy can barely get out of the G League. So what does that speak for NBA players today?
Right. There's a lot of these dunk guys that really are just dunkers. They're not.
Oh, right.
They're not, primetime all-stars. It's not like you have Jordan out there and Dominique Wilkins. I think Zach LaVine's probably an exception, probably for the last few years, right? There's been a couple, right, that can obviously dunk, but Dwight Howard.
Well, what is it, the And One tour, where it's almost like you're watching the Globetrotters and all that kind of stuff, and that's where you get all the creativity. So while this is going on, you have what's called, so the NHL usually does their All-Star game and their skills competition and stuff like that. Well, this year they trashed all of that, and they're doing what's called the Four Nations Face-Off, which is kind of like a mini World Cup of hockey.
Okay, you're going to need to fill me in on this, because I saw headlines about this last night, and so we're recording this Sunday night. And the first headline I saw, and I'm sure we're going to get to this, is
yes,
3 fights in the first 9 seconds of Canada-US.
yes. So
which I'm like, all right, you got me right there, because that's the best.
I figured I would. So you got in this tournament, you got Canada, the U.S., Sweden, and Finland. So they draft their rosters. Obviously, you have to be born in that country to be able to play for that country, whatever. So it's all it is a 14 round robin, and then the finals, I think, play next Thursday night, and then the NHL season comes back. So basically an exhibition of hockey. So the U.S. won their first game. I think they beat, it was either Finland or Sweden, 6-1, whatever. And then Canada, I forget what they did in their first game, whatever. So Saturday night, it's the U.S. versus Canada in Montreal. Now, obviously, there's some tension between the U.S. and Canada right now.
Is there?
Which,
really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, we can leave that where it is. But anyway,
no. Look, we should talk about this, because let's kind of do a little bit of both, right? So,
okay,
let's talk hockey, but the reason the tensions are because I've never heard of this before, but Canadians booing the American anthem.
Yes, I was going to get to that because
now we're trying to take over Canada, which is such malarkey.
I know. I know. The President Trump says, that Canada would benefit more as being the U.S.'s 51st state, and then there was the tariff thing, and now they've suspended the tariffs. But now I read something today that there's been some tariffs the other way that have always been in place. I don't know who to believe. I don't know what to believe. But anyhow, the Canadians were going to boo the U.S. anthem.
They've been doing this. This isn't new.
Yes.
This wasn't just for the hockey game.
No,
it's been happening for a few weeks now. Yeah.
Yes. And on the Canadians' behalf, I get it. Totally understand.
Totally. So, do you think... So let me ask you this. Before we go to that, I guess, do you think that's where the bad blood on the ice came from? Do you think it's politically kind of motivated? It's got to be something else, right? I find it kind of hard to believe that hockey players are getting that political.
I find it hard to believe that that's what caused what happened. I think a lot of it is for show. I think entertainment value. One of the guys was actually quoted of saying to one of the guys that he fought, "Hey, let's get the crowd going. Big rivalry game, whatever." So they get ready to play. Teams line up. Puck drops. 2 seconds later, first fight takes place. Now, the U.S. has 2 guys that are brothers on this team, Matthew Tkachuk and Brady Tkachuk. I forget which Tkachuk went first, but both of them were in the starting lineup. So big fight happens. They go to the penalty box. Whatever. Crowd's going nuts. They got to take the face off again. 1 second goes by. The 2 guys that were taking the face off drop the gloves again. It's the other Tkachuk brother. They fight. Guy, lasts about, 15, 20 seconds or whatever. They both go to the penalty box, 5 minutes for fighting. Okay, you think it's over, yada, yada. Third face-off happens. Puck goes into the Canadian zone. American guy, or as the Canadian goalie makes a save. American guy, if I remember, kind of takes a stab at his glove. We're 8 seconds into the game. Again, push, shove, gloves off. It's Rock'em Sock'em Robots for the 3rd time. So my point is, NBA All-Star game is all fluff. The Pro Bowl doesn't even happen anymore. It has become a flag football game and skills competition. But when the NHL gets together, all gloves are off, dude. It does not matter. The only sport where you can legally fight and not get arrested, one of the only situations where you can legally fight and not get arrested. And man, it was on big time in Montreal. The U.S. went on to win the game 3-1. They will be in the finals no matter what on Thursday in Boston. And I think if Canada wins their next game in regulation, they automatically qualify for the finals as well. So if we get a repeat in Boston, oh boy, it is going to be fun, in my opinion.
So you think these fights were staged?
I think in the
meaning like get
NHL,
the crowd going or whatever. It's like, okay, let's put on a show and hey, let's play up this Canada versus US rivalry or whatever it is.
I think some of that. I think there's some of that. Yeah, I think
Really?
there's some
Okay.
of that. Well, because
I mean, I'm not
hockey,
dismissing it. I just it never occurred to me that like, oh, like this is a stage thing. Like, it just seems kind of
there are guys. Okay, so not as much as there used to be, but there are guys on hockey teams that are. They used to call them enforcers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I don't know if they still refer to. Yeah, no doubt. But these are guys that are out there. Yes. Yeah, we saw him the one time we went to the game. But there are times like when your team is like slow, they got nothing going on, no momentum, whatever. You got a guy out might go out there, start a fight, get in a fight, get the crowd going, get the team going. It brings them back into the game. This could have been a situation where both teams were trying to get their teams going, big rivalry. Okay, now we're into it. It's intense. Let's win this, that kind of thing. Because I got to tell you, the crowd went absolutely bananas for this.
They usually do. I mean, it's one of the highlights, I think, of, like you said, of all the major sports, it's the only one that really kind of allows it to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And, yeah. I mean, I just found it funny that in an all-star exhibition setting, you got guys dropping the gloves. You don't normally see that kind of thing. So,
hey, that's great. I love it. I want to see more of it. I'd rather watch that than, I guess, other formats.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I think fighting in hockey adds an element to the game that no other sport has. I think there is a place for it. You got to protect your guys, protect your skill guys. The only equivalent I could think of is a baseball pitcher hitting a guy on the other team when something happens to one of his guys. It's the closest thing I could think of it. So, but,
yeah.
No, I'm here for the fighting in hockey.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I really cared about hockey, but that was kind of like, oh, okay, maybe I have to check out some highlights on this. Well, that's good.
It's hard to care. It's hard to care about hockey in Chicago now because the team is not good. But
that's always the hard part, right? When your team sucks, it's difficult to follow it.
Yeah, it is. Well, the other part is you can't, without paying for the new app, you can't even watch them on TV, and that sucks.
So I am live TV free. My YouTube TV subscription conveniently ran out the day after the Super Bowl, so no live sports, no live nothing for me unless it's on maybe Pluto or some of those other,
okay,
whatever those things are. That's it. So I'm totally disconnected from the media at this point, other than Netflix, Disney, stuff like that.
Well, I feel like in regards to sports, we're kind of in a dead zone. It's like the Super Bowl.
Like I'll wait until the next NFL season comes on to pick it back up again.
Yeah, and even for me, and I know, I'm a self-aware sports fanatic. Even the dead zone even hits me right now because there's no playoffs. There's a ton of NBA left. There's a ton of NHL left. Pitchers and catchers are just now starting to report for baseball. So nothing really matters until, April when the season starts. So the weather sucks. I hate this time of year. I can't stand it. I go through this every year where it's like you wake up, you look outside, it's gray, it's cold, it's windy. I think we talked about this. Yep. It's still that way. It's like, get me to March 15th, man. I need the sun.
And stay on 2 feet and not kissing pavement.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah, you know what? Look, this is the time of the year. Taxes are due soon. Like shit all around.
I got to do that too. I actually was gathering paperwork for that today. I don't know. Do you do your own taxes?
I have someone else do it at this point. I have no patience for it. I'd rather just say, hey, here's all my paperwork. Just tell me what I owe or don't owe.
I could probably say I've never ever paid anybody to do my taxes.
Yes,
I've done them every year. So
it's good. I used to do it. I just don't do it anymore. Yeah. I got better things to do.
I take a Saturday or take a Sunday and knock it all out. So that'll probably be next weekend's project.
There you go. Well, I'll call my guy over at H&R Block and say, here's the rest of my stuff. For whatever reason, I feel like I don't get all my paperwork. I think it's supposed to be done by what is it? End of January, I think is the cutoff. That's supposed to be the deadline, but I feel like I'm still getting paperwork into March and sometimes early April.
Yeah, I think the law says you have to have everything either available online or in the mail by the end of January.
And that's what I think, and that's what I thought. But for whatever reason,
Yeah.
I continually get stuff in like February, March. Like,
Okay.
where was this thing? So I usually wait until like the end of March to do it.
Now, okay, dumb question, but I'll ask it. So you travel a lot for work, obviously, and you make income in other states. You don't have to pay income tax everywhere you go, do you?
No, my income. So I'm a North Carolina resident, so I'm taxes in North Carolina, and my business that I work for, I'm tied to a North Carolina office.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter kind of where I go. Now, technically, I think we're supposed to track kind of like where you work and when you work, but I don't know anybody who does that. It's just like, okay, I get a salary from, my company, and they pay me as a salaried employee. I'm not like, well, I made $100 in this state, another $100 in that state. And I know there's certain states that have like reciprocal agreements as well. So like when I worked, in Wisconsin, but I lived in Illinois, I was taxed as Illinois.
You could file in Illinois.
Even though I worked in Wisconsin. Now, I had to file paperwork for both, but I wasn't double taxed.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I know, athletes have to file in whatever state they go to.
Do they?
Yeah. Which I find weird.
That is weird.
And
You'd think it would be just based on whatever your home.
Yeah,
home
no,
state is.
they have to file income tax in any state that they play the game in. So,
well, we better get them a few more bucks so they can afford to hire a good accountant.
Yeah, well, ticket prices go up.
This is why I don't want to have to worry about the taxes. Just I'll have some professional do it. And look, I work for a tax firm, technically. So
there you go.
There's plenty of people who can do there, but I don't even use my own company for it. I keep it completely separate.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, mine are pretty easy. It's not like it's that big a deal, but I just do them. I don't know.
I just don't want to. I'm lazy.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't even say it, but knock on wood, I haven't been audited yet. So
yeah, and I generally don't owe anything. I'd rather be in a situation where I'm getting a refund than have a bill.
That's how I am.
And so I'm usually more conservative on that side of things. So I know it's a free loan to the government, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. I get it. I don't want to have to write out a check in April. That's all.
Yeah, it's funny. And my dad says the same thing. He's like, why do you want to give the government a free loan? And I'm like, I look at it as sometimes a nice little bonus at the end of the year. Nice little
you're not
bonus
making any interest on it.
when I filed.
Right.
Yeah,
but
which
I don't want to owe.
Yeah, exactly. And see, my dad is one of those people where he likes to try and get it to zero.
Because that's the right way to do it, technically.
Right. Yeah. And he's done his own for 60 years. So
yeah, I got no patience for that. So kudos to you.
Ain't got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Especially this guy.
That's right.
I'm too busy slipping and falling on ice to worry about doing taxes.
Yeah, I hear that. So crazy.
Yeah. All right. We had some NBA, some NHL. Dodgers probably signed somebody this week.
Yeah, I know. I said in the last episode of Who Did the Dodgers Sign that they were probably done, but little did I know, and I honestly expected this and totally forgot about it, but they are bringing back for an 18th year Clayton Kershaw for 1 year. I think it's $8.5 million. Probably going to be his last year, although I thought last year was probably going to be his last year. So we'll see, but Kershaw probably would have played, as my dad said, Kershaw would have played for them for free. Lifelong Dodgers, had a wonderful career, probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. Not as good as he once was, but can still pitch. He'll still give him innings. He's a great clubhouse guy. He's a great presence in the LA area, does a lot for the community. So it's a great signing. It's a feel-good signing. Now I can confidently say the Dodgers are probably done. So,
okay, so way to jinx it.
Well, I mean, hey, Dave reported spring training is happening for the Dodgers and the Cubs a little early because they are meeting in Tokyo in like a month. But yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. I'm excited for the season.
Baseball's in your blood, man.
It is.
It's your thing.
It's my thing. It's my kid's thing. I'm very thankful that my kids kind of followed it. They actually, all three of them went further with it than I did as far as playing, which is really cool. But, it's just a sport I fell in love with very early. My dad played in college. My uncle has been an umpire forever. My cousin played in college. My cousin played in high school. I grew up around it. We always referred to it as the family game, and it's always been that way. And it's been neat to pass along to my guys, and then hopefully they'll pass it along to their kids someday.
It's a cool little tradition. We didn't have anything like that. Our family game was Nintendo, so video games was our game du jour.
Yeah, hey, nothing wrong with that. Is what I could tell. You've got some successful brothers coming out of the Nintendo world.
Yeah, they're doing all right. No complaints for sure. Did you watch the Saturday Night Live concert?
I did not.
Are you going to watch it?
I'm going to watch it. I am a Peacock subscriber.
Okay. Do you like Saturday Night Live?
Yes, I do.
I do too. And I know that, look, they get complaints for not having great content all the time. And that's, of course, right? They're putting on 20-some shows and not everything's going to be a hit. But I'm still a fan of Saturday Night Live. I still watch almost every episode.
I'm a big fan of sketch comedy. And I know, God, there's countless movie stars and TV stars that have come from Saturday Night Live. We could sit here for an hour just talking about that. And I'm a big fan. So looking forward to watching the anniversary special that's actually going on right now. But tell me about the concert.
It was good.
Because I am going to watch it.
3 hours, 3.5 hours, I think.
Oh, wow.
So watched it last night, Saturday night, for those scoring at home. 3 hours, watched it on Peacock, so able to skip through commercials and, none of that stuff was there, which was great. It was good. It was better than I thought it would be. Okay. And as I was watching it, I was thinking about our prior conversation that we had about the Super Bowl halftime show. And how do you make something that is broadly appealing to more people? And I was like, this is sort of the recipe for it. Now, 3.5 hours is a lot different than 13 minutes, for a show.
For
right?
Sure.
But that was kind of the thing. But it was good. It wasn't too slow, I didn't think. There are artists that played that I don't care about. And it's kind of like, okay, fast forward, right? And that's kind of the benefit of it on replay is you can skip the parts you don't care about. There was some really cool stuff. I'll tell you, I don't want to ruin it for you if you're watching, but I don't know, have you heard any of the artists that have performed on it?
I'm curious as to who played.
Okay, so I think it's better if you don't know going into it.
Okay.
Just watch and let it be surprising to who you see up there, because there's a mix of musical artists and a mix of Saturday Night Live music things that took place.
Okay.
So you'll see
do they show like past performances, that kind of thing?
They don't show it. It's all performed live. So there was nothing recorded. It was all real time. You're seeing it, and the commercial breaks are there to hide stage changes and different acts coming up and stuff like that. But it moved pretty quickly. It moved pretty consistently through the show. There wasn't you go to a concert, right? And it's there's an hour in between the opener and then the headliner, or sometimes longer. It moved succinctly through the lineup. There was a lot, man. 3.5 hours, and there was very little filler at all. It was music and performances and stuff like that. And my gosh, I have never seen, other than award shows, a star-studded cast of people in the audience just watching. You name it, and they were there. So I guess the way it worked is they did this at Radio City Music Hall in New York City. And I guess the way I would put it is if you had anything to do with Saturday Night Live over the last 50 years, you were invited or you were there. Every actor, special guests, etc., stage costume designer. If you were part of the SNL crew or a show at some point, it seemed like you were there. And man, there was a lot of famous faces in the audience. And there's some good surprises too. And it was a fun show, man. I mean, I can't knock it other than, look, not every music artist is for me, and that's fine. I don't really care about, some of the people who were there, but
right.
That's fine. That wasn't for me. That was for the people who like that. And I'm okay with that. It was a good show. Definitely worth it.
Yeah, I will check it out. And God, there aren't many celebrities today that you can't connect to Saturday Night Live at some point. Like either they hosted the show, or they were the musical guests, or they did a cameo on it at some point. I mean, my God, there are so many people that have come from that show or have made appearances on that show. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's been in the zeitgeist for, I think, American TV culture for so long. And
oh, yeah.
There's so many quotable things and movies that have come out of it, right? I mean, think about like some of the classics, Wayne's World and, all the Adam Sandler movies, I feel like started somehow from
for sure.
Live character, right? You've got, what's Chris Farley, right? And David Spade and all the stuff they've done together, then you go back even further, right? The Blues Brothers and Eddie Murphy and all that stuff. So it's kind of a cool American institution.
Yeah, I mean, you think of like movies like cult classics, like Mean Girls was written by Tina Fey, and Night at the Roxbury.
Yep.
It's Will Ferrell. I mean, all the Will Ferrell movies basically are, Saturday Night Live born. And yeah, you're right. I mean, talk about total Americana, if you will.
And there's some classics, man. I mean, and look, I feel like for me, the heyday was probably late 90s, early 2000s, kind of the Phil Hartman going into the Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, and then getting into sort of like the Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig kind of phases. And then, even with Kate McKinnon, I thought she was brilliant, and she's gone now for the last year or two, whatever that is. There's always been, forces of nature on that show that have kind of carried it over the years. Obviously, Eddie Murphy did it a very long time ago, but it's so much fun. I don't know. It's hard for me to pick a favorite skit even because there's so many good ones to choose from. It's like, you think of one, it's like, oh, I totally forgot about that one. It was a good one too. But do you like Stefan, Bill Hader's character?
Yes.
I could watch that all day long.
Chris Farley's Matt Foley.
Yep. He was
motivational speaker.
Was it a van down by the river? Yep.
God, when Phil Hartman either did Frank Sinatra or Phil Donahue.
See, I liked his unfrozen caveman lawyer.
Yeah, there was that one.
Yep.
When Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry were the cheerleaders.
Yep.
I mean, we could sit here and talk about it forever. How good. I mean, yeah.
And they still come up with new stuff. I mean, Nate Bargatze's got a thing where he plays, George Washington. And like, that's classic. Instant classic almost. It's only like a year or two old at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and think about all the weekend updates. I mean, obviously, Michael Che and Colin Jost who do it now are classic, but Tina Fey and Amy Poehler were great for a long time. Norm Macdonald, oh my God,
he's tough, man.
When he was doing weekend update during the OJ trial, he used to just crush OJ Simpson.
Yeah.
But it was in a way that you couldn't help but laugh. You're like, oh my God, did he really just say that? Yeah. But it was hilarious. He's
fearless. I don't know if you ever watch on some of this, like his stand-up is good, but he was on Conan O'Brien's show as a guest, and they had some girl on who was on a movie
Courtney
or whatever.
Thorne Smith.
Yes.
I know exactly
and
what
you know
you're
exactly
talking
about, right? And she was in a movie with Carrot Top. And
yes.
Look, if you're listening to this and you have not seen Norm Macdonald on Conan with Courtney Thorne Smith, it is
YouTube that
worth the 7 minutes or whatever that clip is.
So good. Good.
I've never seen Conan laugh that hard.
Yeah,
and he's a funny dude too. I like Conan.
Yeah, I do too.
That was
Norm
different
Macdonald
levels.
was something special. He was a special guy. He was awesome on the roast of Bob Saget.
He was great.
It just says some of the dumbest shit that makes no sense, but it is comedic genius on how funny that guy was.
So go back to Weekend Update.
Kevin Nealon.
Who's your favorite
was
combo?
Hilarious.
On Weekend Update. He's so dry though. It's like it was almost like like
He was.
deep thoughts, but in real life.
Dennis Miller was good.
Yeah. He was I don't know, too smart for the room. I felt like he had this kind of persona, right? And remember when he tried to do Monday Night Football?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was not a good experiment.
Well, what I liked was it's like they all had their different styles, right? Jay and Jost are really good.
I think they're fantastic, and I think
they're
the
up
bit
there
that they've come up with where they do the joke swap, a couple times a year. I think that's a fantastic, spin on it, and I love the fact that Che is always trying to get Jost to do racist shit.
It's hilarious. I know.
Yeah, I like Che and Jost. I think it's a good combo. I think they get the edge only for me just because of that joke swap bit.
Yeah, they're up there. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler were really good too.
They were good too. Yeah.
And I always, even though he didn't do Weekend Update, I always got a kick of David Spades when it was Spade in America.
Yep.
That was good. Skit as well. So a lot of good comedy on Saturday Night Live, man.
Yeah, I think it's still worth checking out. Check it out every week. And there's, you got an hour and a half, or whatever it is. Weekend Update is consistently pretty good the entire time. And I feel like they've really leaned into that. It seems like it's getting longer and longer. Sometimes 20, 25 minutes of the show is Weekend Update. And then there's maybe one or two decent sketches around it somewhere.
Yeah, because it's good. And I love it when it's election year, because Saturday Night Live latches on to every election there is. I mean, Jesus Christ. I remember Dana Carvey playing Ross Perot way back when, and it just, forget.
The guy that got doing Trump right now is really good. Like he's got the mannerisms and the voice down just right, and
he's good. Alec Baldwin was a solid.
He was good too.
Trump.
Yeah.
Daryl Hammond as Bill Clinton was always good.
Yep.
And I forget. Oh, it was Al Franken who played Paul Simon, the senator from Illinois, when he ran, and just all he talked about was Paul Simon in the bow tie. So funny. So
yeah,
good stuff.
I'm a fan.
Good stuff.
But watch the concert. I think it was worth it. There's some really good performances there. And I think next week when we record, we can recap maybe the 50th episode, because
for sure.
I'm going to watch it tomorrow night.
At that point, I will have watched both. Yeah. So we'll do that. But, SNL, I mean, they've had some awesome, iconic music performances over the years, too.
Yeah, man. I mean, so many.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when Nirvana was first on. I remember when Pearl Jam was first on. I remember when Sinead O'Connor ripped up the picture of the Pope on live television. I remember when I think it was Ashley Simpson got busted for lip syncing. Yep. There's just been some classics as far as music goes too. So
Cypress Hill.
Trying
to think. Just you name it. I feel like they've probably had them on the show.
Oh yeah. I know Chili Peppers have been on there. I know the Beastie Boys have been on there. I don't know
David
if Metallica.
Bowie?
Yeah.
I don't know if Metallica
ever did Saturday Night Live.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they ever did. I don't know if any like true hardcore metal band has ever done Saturday Night Live.
Rage Against the Machine, you consider them metal? I mean, they did Bulls on Parade. That's pretty rough.
They did.
I mean, not rough, but pretty metal.
Yeah, especially Pumpkins was on there.
Yeah, they did Cherry Rock. I mean, Nirvana was there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Jack White?
I'd have to.
Pearl Jam?
I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
No, they've got good ones. It's another one, too. You have to like the musical guest, too. I don't think I've ever really discovered anybody on SNL, but if there's an artist that I like, I'm like, I'll check it out, see what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just waiting for it to get warm, dude. I'm going in a little over 2 weeks. I'm headed to Tucson, Arizona.
Hey, that's warmer.
So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be my third time down there for college baseball. I'll be down there for a week. Looking forward to that very much. It does tend to get a little cooler at night down there, but I'll take 50s over the teens that are happening right now.
Yeah, it's pretty cold. It's getting cold here too. I think we're headed for a little bit of a cold streak here in the next couple days, and I'm home all week, so I get to enjoy it. But it's going to get down, I think, Thursday, Friday, low of 14, low and 11, high of 28. So,
okay,
kind of cold for here, but then we get back up to 50 on Monday. After that,
well, we're in the teens, I think, through basically Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, I think, are the 20s. But so far, as far as you can see with the 10-day, Monday and Tuesday are in the high 40s. So maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, man, the corner's turning. We'll be there before you even know it. You're going to come back from Arizona, that dry heat and that cool desert, night, which is always awesome. And it's going to be good.
Yeah. So I'm ready for summer. That's all I can say. I'm ready to get out there, swing the golf club, all that stuff. So
yeah, well, come on down. I think we'll be warming up here in the next few weeks. We should be in the 50s and 60s pretty soon. We've had days in the 70s already here this year.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I would love to do that. The other thing I have going on is I'm anxiously awaiting, hopefully, what's going to be a job offer. I've gone through this 2-interview process with my company, looking to get out of sales, switch over to learning and development, and being one of the managers in that department. So
nice.
Supposed to hear by Friday, which would put me in a remote position.
Less driving?
Totally. Oh, my God. Totally less driving, which would be great because I have a 2023 Kia, and I have just over 82,000 miles on it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a shit ton of miles.
It's a lot.
Please tell me you're claiming that mileage for like work expenses and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Part of that stuff is I've been to Minnesota and back a few times. I've been to Colorado a couple times when my mom was sick. I've been for baseball. I've been out to North Dakota and South Dakota, but I figure for work, I probably put on about 30 to 35,000 miles a year.
That's a lot of miles. Yep. Be a truck driver at that point.
I know.
Have you ever been a truck driver? I totally would.
I don't. I want to say in my mind I would, because basically, you're on the road, you listen to music all day, right?
I mean, simplistically, yes, but I'm sure there's more to it. But yes, I mean, just you're driving around. Yeah.
I know it's going to sound stupid, but I don't know if physically I could handle it, because you're sitting in one position for hours at a time. I think, what is it? I think the Department of Transportation rules are you can be in your truck, I think it's 14 hours a day, and then you have to rest at least 10. I don't know if I could handle sitting in a truck 14 hours a day. I've had a blood clot issue before. So I just don't know if I could physically do it, to be honest with you. And I know it sounds stupid.
No, I think
just
that's
sitting
fair.
around all day.
I mean, I'm assuming I'm going to have a nice chair. It's like a command chair. It's not like a bench or anything like that. Nice truck. I'd probably get like an EV truck of some sort, just because that's who I am. But, I think it would be interesting and fun. I like to drive, so why not?
I do too. And I'll admit, I'm a road trip fan. I love road trips. I love seeing the country. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to, in the same summer, drive from Northern California to here, Chicago, and from here to upstate New York in the same summer. So almost coast to coast. And it was awesome. I remember driving down to Baton Rouge for Jeff's wedding. Mm-hmm. It was a great road trip. I remember driving to Myrtle Beach for Jeremy's, one of his baseball things. Great trip. I remember driving to North Carolina, not far from where you are, driving to Raleigh for my dad's softball and seeing places that I've never seen before. I absolutely loved it. So I love driving. It's just better. Could I physically do it?
Mm-hmm. I would totally be in for it. I think if something were to happen, I would hit the open road and I would just haul shit left and right.
Well, I think the nation still needs drivers. You see, at least around here.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're always hiring.
Yeah, they are always hiring. And I think it pays pretty well. So,
yeah, I mean, you get paid per mile, whatever it is. I think it'll be interesting over the next, 10 years or so when you start to see more of these, autopilot trucks and stuff like that are out there. That could be interesting for drivers, but I think there's still a little bit of runway left before none of us are driving vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah, before we become the Jetsons.
Yeah. Have, robots doing all the driving for you. But
well, okay. I came across this thing where a guy was talking about the driverless Uber, and I immediately thought of you.
Yeah, I've been in one.
I don't think I don't know if I could do it. Please tell me remind me of what that was like.
So it depends on where you're at. When they say driverless Uber, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's nobody in the car. There's usually a safety person in there who is not really driving, but they're there to take over in case of an emergency.
Okay, so there is somebody in the car.
Yes, I'm sure there's, maybe on different municipalities, whatever it be, but like Vegas is where I've gotten it the most. And it basically just means that someone is in the driver's seat, but they're not driving. They're just there as a human safety backup. But the car works, it drives. Most driving is pretty easy for that at this point. I've driven Tesla for years, and that one does a pretty decent job of it. Would I trust it 100% of the time? Absolutely not. It is not ready for that. But here's the thing is, as everyone else starts to use automated driving systems, it becomes safer for everybody. Because now you can connect all those things and have sensors and readouts and stuff like that, where what the other cars are doing. It becomes predictable, and it's just a pattern. The challenge becomes when you have humans doing things that are off script, off pattern, right? Whatever that may be, and that's what causes the issues, right? You drift out of your lane, you're not paying attention, things like that. That doesn't happen in computers. And as the vision of the computers get better and the ability to process what's happening gets better, it's going to be fine. You said, I think, I think Tesla probably has one of the better systems right now. It's still annoying sometimes. Ford has it. Has a good system. Mercedes-Benz has one. So it seems like most of the major, manufacturers have their own version of autopilot. And I can tell you, man, for highway driving, it's awesome. And the driver fatigue is so much less than having to grip a steering wheel the entire time. And you always have to have your hand on the wheel today for any of these systems for the most part. But it's just, you're resting your hand lightly on the wheel and just kind of guiding it instead of actively driving. And it's fantastic.
I'll admit, see, if you talk to my wife, I just kind of rest my hand on the wheel as is now. But, she always says I'm half asleep and I'm swerving all over the place and all that stuff anyway. So it's almost like she's riding in a driverless Uber all the time. But anyway.
You're like Mr. Magoo out there driving around ping-ponging on the lanes.
Yeah, exactly. But
I think as more people get it and more people, it's like any other technology. It's expensive. Price will come down. It'll become a standard feature at some point, and there will always be some, enhanced version of it somewhere. But it's like the seatbelt. Seatbelt wasn't standard. Neither were, electric locks or windows or, stuff like that. Eventually, everybody will have it. It'll become predictable. We'll have a connected environment where not only are your cars talking to each other, it's also talking to the street infrastructure, signals. You see some of that today. I think Audi has a system right now that can communicate with certain stoplights, and it will know when things are turning yellow, red, green, and helps assist the driver with, stopping in time or giving them warning to say, hey, that light that looks like a green right now that you're about to go through is about to turn yellow. And so all that stuff becomes predictable and a pattern. And next thing you know, you're going to be sitting in the back seat and the computer's going to be driving you to work or wherever you're going.
All that is fucking wild to me. It
is.
Greg, you are obviously a lot more tech savvy and tech in the know than I am, but that kind of stuff just blows my mind that's even possible, let alone on the brink of, it is happening. It's on the brink of happening. It is happening, and that just kills me. I can't believe it.
It's nuts. It's cool. It's scary at the same time because, like, all right, nobody drives the way you drive. I'm convinced that driving is almost like a biometric. Everybody has a thumbprint. Everybody has an eye, a face, right? Things like that. And the way you drive is very personal. And I remember the first time I turned on autopilot in my Tesla several years ago, it was, I was like freaking out. I was like, it's not driving the way I drive, right? It was
kind of hard to let go. Yeah, I'm sure.
Exactly. And you learn to trust it and kind of understand how it works and stuff like that. And there is definitely a break-in period where you build that sort of rapport with your autopilot. But I tell you, man, the first time you're in the car solo and you turn it on, it's like, oh shit, things like this is crazy.
That is wild. That is so wild. You're building a relationship with your Tesla or your EV or whatever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And they all have it now. And like, I've got the Polestar. It doesn't have the full self-driving, but I push the turn stalk down once. I'm already in drive and, it keeps the speed. It keeps it in the center of the lane. It drives itself around curves and, basically the same thing. If I want to change lanes, it has a setting. You can enable this or not, but I hit the turn signal, and after it checks to make sure that it's clear, it makes the lane change for you. Okay. It's crazy, and it works really well.
Speaking of the Polestar, I know I seem to have my ailment of the week. Is the Polestar okay this week? We got any
Polestar's
issues?
Been good. I got my my rims fixed. So I was in New York City earlier this week. Dropped it off on Monday on my way to the airport. Picked it up on the way home on Wednesday, and we're back in business. We had a major software update come out while I was out, so got that update as soon as I got home. Fixed a bunch of software issues. Added CarPlay, which is really cool. I've only had a couple of those cars in the past I've needed. This is one where I think it definitely adds to that experience.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, we're in a good spot right now. Car's working. No mechanical issues that I'm aware of. It's been a few days of any kind of major, bug, crash, system failure type things. Basically, it's the car that I should have had when I, bought it in November or whatever it was. But this is part of being on the bleeding edge of technology. Look,
for sure.
This is a brand and a brand new vehicle to the market. It just became available for US in November. And so I knew what I was getting into. I was fucking pissed, dude. The first 2 months I had this car, I know. I made a fucking mistake by getting this car. But we're in a much better position. And it's so nice. I mean, massage seats, Dolby Atmos, 25 speakers, 1600 watts, heated, ventilated seats. It drives itself down the highway. It looks cool. We're in good shape right now. Will it stay that way? I don't fucking know. I'm sure there'll be some stupid bug or something that annoys the shit out of me. But yeah, we're good right now.
Well, it's good. It's good to know that you and your Pulsar are in a good place right now.
Yeah, we're starting to develop a little of a rapport. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. Gotta work all the kinks out. And...
well, it's just fun to drive too. I mean, quick. It's an EV, 40. All that good stuff. Yeah. And then we got the Rivian, which is like the big monster truck at this point. And that thing's
I think
goes
we've
anywhere.
Talked about that. Those things are like driving tanks, man.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's great. I can't complain about it one bit. It's a fantastic vehicle.
Yeah, my car and my phone are kind of fighting right now. So Apple CarPlay isn't, for some reason, it's not connecting. I haven't figured that out yet. I mean, I can still get Bluetooth. I can still, play the FOJ show through my speakers on my car because I'm an avid listener.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
But it's not going through the Apple CarPlay system like it used to. So I got to figure that out. It's kind of frustrating to be honest.
Resetting and restarting it over and maybe
I have
redo it.
I've reconnected. I have disconnected disconnected through Bluetooth and told it, forget this car, and tried to reconnect. And for some reason, it just doesn't want to engage.
Try doing it on the car itself.
I did that. Hardwired it to the plug and all that stuff. Just doesn't want to do something. So my next step is to see if Joshua can do it, because he's like my in-house IT department. But nailing him down to get him to do it is tough, because he's always off doing something, whether it's school or baseball or a girlfriend or whatever. And if that doesn't work, then I gotta, maybe just take it to Kia and say, hey, can you reconnect this for me? Because I can't for whatever reason.
There's a software update or something it needs.
I think it has something to do with the phone, to be honest with you. I don't think it's the car. I think it's the phone, but I would hope that Kia would know how to do it. So, we'll
that's what they're there for, right? They're supposed to be able to.
Exactly. Because I'll admit, I really love my Kia. I'll probably get another one when this one poops out, down the road. Very happy with it.
Go electric?
Maybe.
Kia makes good electric vehicles too.
Maybe. I'd think about it.
Yeah, especially if you're not driving as much.
Yeah, exactly. But I do like the Kia models. I like just how they're built, how they're set up, how they're the interiors and all that stuff. It's a nice car. It's a really well built, nice car. So,
ain't nothing problem
for all
with
you
that.
guys,
there's a lot of shitty built ones out there. So when you find a good one, stick with it.
Oh yeah, and I hate saying this. But it's really difficult to find a well built American made car that's going to last. It just don't. Not like Hondas, not like Nissans, not like Toyotas, Hyundais. They're just not built as well. I hate that.
A lot of those vehicles are now made in the U.S. as well. So
they're made here, but they're not designed here.
Yes.
So, but I wish you could buy a Ford or buy a Chevy or, any General Motors, whatever, and it would last. But they just, in my experience, they just don't. So, but hey, my family has 3 Kias and love all 3 of them.
Hey, you're a fan and you found something that works.
That's right. We're the Kia gang. The Kia gang. So that's what we are.
All right. What else you got?
I don't have much else, man. I
hear your voice starting to go.
It is starting to crack a little bit. Like I said, I'm about 95%. I'm almost there, but yeah, I feel like, I'll be honest with you, I feel like this is going to be, I said this to my wife earlier, I feel like this is going to be the longest week of my life as I wait for this job thing to come through, because it would be a very welcome change for me if I get this. So
yeah,
I am hoping.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
If you need a reference check, they can always call me. And I'll just say, Jay who?
I did mention the podcast in the interview.
Did you?
I did.
That's a bold strategy.
I know. Now, I didn't say the title.
Okay.
I didn't tell them what we talk about.
Okay.
I just mentioned that a friend of mine run a podcast together, just kind of as a character thing. It was part of the get to know you phase. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned it as a great way for my friend of 30 years and I to keep our long distance friendship going.
Yeah.
And they
like sitting on the couch is the way I explain it. It's like, these are conversations we would used to have on Beaubien at 2 a.m, with a few other people, and maybe, they're willing to come on. Open invite for anybody who's listening to come on.
Yes.
Any of our
with
friends.
A few other people,
yep,
with maybe 1 or 2 more cocktails in hand.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Well, you guys be drinking. I wasn't drinking because I've just never been a drinker.
Yeah, I'll admit, I have toned it way down. There were a few nights back then when I had a few, but now it's not for me. I honestly, ever since my medical issue, I haven't had anything besides water for almost a month now. And yeah, it actually, I can feel the difference, believe it or not. So I do feel better. So that's good. But Yeah, we used to just sit around and shoot the shit for hours upon hours and laugh at Chad and listen to Chad and Cruz debate everything under the sun, and we'd sit around and make fun of Helen, and and I love Helen, always have. But no, those were good
Nobody
times,
was
man.
safe from any
No.
of us. It was
No.
yeah, it was good times. But that's what this show is like. It's kind of like us sitting on the couch and just shooting the shit about whatever. And hey,
Yeah.
people like it, great. Not, I don't care.
No, I don't care either. And I've told people, and actually that's what's led to, having Justin on, or having Justin and Matt on, or hopefully we get your coworker on at some point. But I've told people, hey, there's something you want us to talk about, something you want to hear about, let me know.
Yeah.
What
are your thoughts on this? Just two dudes, shooting the shit. We got opinions.
Yeah,
and here's the great thing is like, opinions can change, right? If I have something I say then that's, anti whatever you believe, tell me why I'm wrong. I'll listen. My mind can be changed.
Yeah, no, and mine too. We talked all the way up to, the election. That was a point of contention.
Yep.
And, we discussed it. And, I'm sure over the next 4 years, we'll discuss it from time to time. I'm
sure I will. There's a certain amount of, there's only so much I could take. Was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I'm sure. And, and that's the case for a lot of people. Some people tend to express their displeasure daily. I feel bad for those people because obviously it dominates their life. And hey, I understand the displeasure. I totally do. But I feel bad for those who have to continuously put it out there. It's like, man, I wish you had something to be happy about in life. And and believe me, I have some family members who are those that put it out there daily. And it's like, okay, I get it. I understand. You're upset. And I understand
when I see this stuff happening and it's affecting people I know.
Yeah, I get that.
People
are
totally losing
jobs.
That. People are uncertain about their future. They work for the government. And it's a shit show right now, and nobody knows what the fuck is going on. And these are good people doing good jobs, and it makes zero sense at all the way it's being done.
A lot of it, the way it's being presented is scary, and I think it's scary to a lot of people. And I totally get that. And if you have somebody,
how you run a government, though, this is not how you're talking about real people with real jobs, and they're doing work that we need done.
That's the thing.
Or taking care of veterans or whatever it may be. Like it's a shit show.
For me, I'm sure that there's some stuff that could be eliminated that's not needed.
Absolutely.
There is. I don't know if it's being gone about the right way. It seems to be going very quickly, which I don't agree with. I think...
What do you think of Elon having access to all this stuff? A private citizen who's basically deputized. He's not an elected official. And yet...
No, he's not an elected official. I think it's like the equivalent to almost a cabinet position, right? But it's brand new.
How can he be? It's not.
But
so he has no security clearances.
It was presented that way, but he never had to be confirmed by anybody.
Right.
Which is weird.
Yet he's got access to everybody's information.
Yeah, I know.
And they're just blindly making cuts left and right with no fucking rhyme or reason to it.
You could make the argument that he probably had access to everything before.
Sure. Yes.
But I get what you're coming from. I do.
Yeah. Like, there's just so much shit happening. It's like, and this is the strategy. I didn't want to get into politics, so here I am.
No, it's okay. It's
flooding the zone of so many things that are either illegal, doesn't matter, or, it isn't even, of the gentleman's playbook, right? Or whatever it is, or whatever it is. Yes, there are things that need to change, but the whole thing is like every day it's like something, and it's multiple things every day. And the strategy is, well, I'm just going to make an executive order and do it, and then we'll let the courts figure it out. In the meantime, who's suffering? The people who have to figure this shit out in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
Companies are going to go under. I've lost deals already on this because their funding has been cut. I know people who are concerned about their jobs, people who have lost their jobs, people who have had to relocate because blah, blah, blah. Like, this isn't that these aren't just like, yeah, okay, there's like a whole bunch of shit happening, waste or whatever it may. Yes, of course there's waste. It's government. It's always going to be waste. But I think it's so poorly and amateurly managed and executed that it makes zero sense. And then we compound that with the way that we are the laughingstock of the world right now. And we are turning our backs on alliances that we've had for decades and causing international relations with us to be the worst that they've ever been, probably going to get even worse where they're at. And oh, by the way, we're also now getting into tariff wars with literally everybody who pays tariffs. We fucking pay the tariffs. Our prices are going up. People are going to lose their jobs because they're not going to be able to afford to pay those tariffs. It's the stupidest, most asinine strategy. It's not even a strategy. It's bullshit. Just, I want to be different. I'm a bull in a china shop. Yeah, they're going to bow to us, blah, blah, blah. It's not the way the fucking world works. It's not the way it works.
I'm going to give you a little different. I understand the intent on a lot of this stuff. I get where the idea of cutting funding to things that don't necessarily matter or aren't necessary comes from. I agree with a lot of that. However, I don't agree with the execution of it, if that makes sense.
It's a shit show.
Agree. Yeah, it seems to be very swiftly, hastily. I don't like that. I don't like rash decisions that don't have a whole lot of substance to them, backing, proof, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'll admit that kind of thing makes me nervous. I'm not here to tell you that I regret who I voted for. Not here to tell you that. But I think, yeah, is he necessarily doing what he said he would? Yes, but not in the way we thought it would happen, if that makes sense. And yeah, that kind of thing makes me nervous.
Makes sense.
The guy, he's never short on content, I will tell you that. There's always stuff to talk about with him. A lot of it is negative, and I understand that. I get where he's trying to go with some of this stuff, but I don't agree with all of the execution of it, if that's fair to say.
I think that's fair. He has issued 98 executive orders.
Yeah,
in the
that's
first
a lot.
month, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
Remember when it was like, oh, you should never be using executive orders, et cetera. Now here we are, right? There's that.
Yeah.
Stuff
I
like
think
the whole Doge thing is just the
yeah,
intent.
I
agree with the intent, the execution, and the people running it. No, like that is not the right way to do it.
That's where I'm at. Do I think he's very petty? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do I think Do I think he's very, at times, for supposedly as successful a businessman as he is, do I think he is childish? Absolutely. Do I agree with everything that comes out of his mouth? No, I don't. But, I think there's a lot of wait and see for the general public. But I think for people either that or have dealt with or in your line of work, you guys are seeing it more quickly. And I get it. That's all I can tell you is I totally respect what you're saying, and I get where you're coming from. So
yeah, I try not to get too wrapped around it, because if I did, I would be outraged every single minute of every day. That's why I don't have the news live channels on anymore. Sure. What's your position on the Gulf of America?
Again, that's where I think Trump's pettiness comes in.
That's the president of the United States.
I don't see a reason for it. Why? Mm-hmm. If you were that, here's my thing. If you were that hell bent on that, why didn't you do it the first time? This, to my knowledge, this subject never came up in his first 4 years of office.
No, of course not.
Made no sense.
It's pettiness, and it's the president of the United States.
It's the pettiness that goes with the border battle and the tariffs and, all the illegal shit that comes into the country and all that. Why? It's just a one other thing. And I find it funny that if you look at Google Maps, it says Gulf of America. If you look at Apple Maps, it says Gulf of Mexico still.
No, it says Gulf of America.
Oh, they changed that too?
The only one that doesn't is Bing Maps or because nobody uses it.
Well,
so yeah, and if you're in the U.S., that's what you see. Every other part of the world sees Gulf of Mexico.
Well, that's my whole point. It's like what, and
it's
at
such
the end of the day,
stupid, petty thing, but that's
what
such.
What does it matter? What does it matter?
It does. It speaks to the pettiness of the individual.
Yeah, and
you
that's
know what? That costs money to do that. You can't just.
I know it
change
does.
the label,
and that's the kind of shit I don't like. So again,
how about
I'm not
pausing the corrupt practices thing? So it's basically a law that is meant to protect or guard against bribery of government officials. We don't need that anymore. Get rid of that.
See, that I don't know enough about to really talk about it. I don't know. I'd have to. Maybe that'll be my homework for this week. I don't know enough about that.
The Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, and basically the idea behind it is it's to make it illegal to accept bribes. Basically, if you're a government person or government official,
okay.
And so we don't need that anymore.
I'd have to look into that, and
it's the law now. I mean, he's shut it down, so it's no longer in effect.
What I do agree with,
shit like that, just it doesn't make any sense.
What I do agree with, and maybe it's because I have kids who are athletes and all that shit, I do agree with taking transgenders out of women's sports.
I agree with that one too.
I agree with that 100%. And yes. I know that offends a lot of people. And it is what it is, but I totally agree with that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I that's something that we're in agreement on. I don't agree with the integration, I guess, of those, whatever that's supposed to be. I don't know how to put it.
No, I think that if that's a lifestyle you're going to pursue,
be happy, but
yeah, that's fine.
There's certain biological factors that just don't make that fair.
There are things that come with that, and unfortunately, competing in sports might be one of them. It's just it can't work that way. How
about religion in politics and him establishing a faith office and in the U.S. government, which is supposed to be a separation of church and state?
Again, I don't know enough about that. I would have to look at that. So I got to look. So all right,
you start looking at all the shit he's doing because it's a lot.
I'll admit, like you,
I don't want vested in me as president by the Constitution, blah, 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 to assist faith-based entities. It is hereby ordered faith-based entities, community, blah, 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 have basically he set up a faith office in the U.S. government. And the intent is also to go after things that are anti-Christian.
Interesting.
Religion has no place in the U.S. government. It is supposed to be separation of church
and to my knowledge, this is not something he ever mentioned on the campaign trail.
There's a lot of shit he didn't mention that's getting done. He said he wouldn't do that is getting done.
Well, again, I don't watch the news, but I will look at for this week. I will look into these two things. How about that?
There's so much to look at, but yeah. And then obviously all this, the tariff, stupid trade war is going to cost so much money for everybody. Yeah.
Besides,
we're going to just give them exactly what they were already giving them anyway, and say, okay, that's why they got paused already. Was we were supposed to have tariffs at the beginning of February, and then it got paused. Oh, because Trump got allotted. No, it was the shit that was already agreed to when Biden was president. So,
a lot of it was, not all of it, but a lot of it was.
Lot of it, the significant parts of it were, and it's stupid shit like that. That just. How is he supposed to govern when half the country is outraged with you all the time?
Half the country was pissed off at Biden too. So
absolutely, I get that too, right? I mean,
I'm not saying, it's very difficult. You're never going to have 100% of the country behind you.
No,
ever.
No, as long as the economy is good, that's pretty much all that people give a shit about.
Yeah.
And some people had a good last 4 years. Some people didn't. I get that. Some people are going to have a good next 4 years and some people aren't. That's the way the cycle works.
Yeah. I will say this. The good news is unless he gets pulled out of office sooner, he can't run again.
He's trying to change that.
Well,
he's already discussed around having to do it about.
Well, he's already said he won't do it.
Okay, and you believe him? If he's alive and has a path to do it, he will absolutely try to do it. He has shown that he would. Now
what I would believe,
90?
What I would believe is one of his kids might get talked into doing it.
Okay, and what's their credentials of being a president of the United States?
What was his credentials?
Exactly. Why is he president of the United States?
Well, obviously it can be done, is what I'm saying.
Okay, but so we're one step closer to idiocracy and President Hector Camacho, whatever that guy's name is. Terry Crews, the president. See, this is why I don't like getting into it, because I think it's just a shit show.
I understand it fires you up. I get it. And, we've been there, done that.
I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, for a lot of people, it's wait and see. And, we'll see.
All right. Well, that's a good spot to lose it. I'm done talking. All right. So you got homework. SNL 50. That's the concert.
SNL 50, SNL concert. Yeah. I will definitely have both of those watched by the time we come back together next week. Hopefully I'll have a new job at that point. And,
yeah, man. That'd be cool. Let me know how it goes.
I will, for sure.
I really hope the SNL 50 is good.
I do too.
I want it to be, and I don't want to be disappointed. So it's good.
I'll admit I caught the first half hour while I was waiting, and so far so good. It was pretty good.
All right. Okay, good. Well, I'm going to watch it. So
I'm going to try maybe next week, maybe the week after. I'm going to try and get my boys' high school baseball coach on.
Okay.
He is an Illinois Baseball Coach Hall of Fame member. And he is a very diehard Minnesota Vikings fan.
Okay. Well, we see a lot of Minnesota Vikings fan. I guess it's just because the school, right?
It's my ties to Minnesota. Well, this one is because I don't know why, but he lives here. He's always lived here. But he likes the Vikings. I don't know why.
Not always perfect.
That's true. I know. I wish I could find a Packers fan that would be worthy of talking to, but I don't know a Packers fan who's worthy of talking to.
That's fired. I love it. And I'm gonna go ahead and preemptively award the dumbass of the week to every single Packers fan. So here you go, Packers fans.
Yes.
That's what I think of you. Just crickets, baby.
Yes, and why? Just because they are. That's why.
Yep. Yep. Fuck the Packers. Fuck Aaron Rodgers. There you go.
We could get Mr. Sorak on because he lives outside Detroit now. Did you know that?
I didn't know. Dude, I haven't talked to him since he got his ass beat in Command and Conquer 35 years ago or whatever that was.
I've had a couple message exchanges with him over the years just because his birthday is the day after mine. So it's kind of happened that way. But yeah, he lives right outside Detroit. He's still in the restaurant business. Good guy. Might be fun to catch up with him sometime. So if you want, I will reach out to him too.
Anybody can be a friend of Jeff. That's the way I look at it.
Love it. All right, man. All right.
Get better. SNL. Good luck on a new job, and I'll talk to you.
Appreciate it.
All right. See ya.
Peace out.